He is currently the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Ruiz. What's going on, all man? Thanks for tuning in. So Joseph Parker calls out Andy Ruiz, right? Saying that he wants a rematch with him. So that's what this video is about. Listen, I believe this is a good call from Parker. He turned down the Herkovic fight, obviously for obvious reasons, because of the money. With the Ruiz fight, this is a good payday for him. Obviously there was rumors about him being injured, elbow surgery and all that, or injured elbows, his trainers were saying, but the real reason was because he wanted a bigger fight. He just finished beating Chisora in great fashion, and for him to fight Herkovic, for IBF Eliminator, the money wouldn't be that good, and you know that Eddie Hearn's all about the money, so I mean, this is an obvious strategy from his management team to try to get Ruiz to fight him. I believe that it may be Parker's debut in the US, to my knowledge. I don't remember him fighting in America, so I mean, this will be a great fight for him. Ruiz is probably the number one now in America, because Deontay lost and Ruiz, is still active, I would say. We don't really know if Deontay Wilder's going to come back. He said that he's already accomplished what he had accomplished, and who knows if he'll return. So actively right now, Ruiz will be number one in America. So I mean, this is a great fight for Parker for a debut. They did fight once before, very close fight. Personally, I actually gave that to Ruiz, but it was a close fight, and it could have went either way. I wasn't too upset with the decision. I understand it was in New Zealand. It was the biggest fight in New Zealand, and it was for the WBO Heavyweight Championship of the world, which was vacated from Tyson the Gypsy King Fury. So I mean, this is a good fight. This is a good fight for sure. I think that Ruiz will take it. I believe that he backs himself that he can beat Parker, especially with his new style coming forward. Ruiz is very dangerous on the inside, as you saw against Joshua. His hands speak for itself. They're very fast, and I think that he will take that fight if it was to happen. Now, these guys definitely need to debut and fight in America. This is where the mecca of boxing is at the end of the day, in the States. This is where the mecca of boxing is, Madison Square Garden, things like that, Think about Ali versus Frazier, you know what I mean? Think about another New Zealander, David Tua, that fought Lennox Lewis, in Vegas for the Unified Championship. Now, this isn't for any titles, but I'm just saying, you've got to fight in memorable stadiums, and not only that, you've got to build up your profile, so that people want to see you fight. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that Parker would have seen a lot of great fights in MGM. Obviously Joshua tried to debut in MGM. He did debut, but I mean, he lost, and he lost to Ruiz. So I mean, I think that's probably where they will fight. Ruiz will be confident that he's beaten AJ there before. He'll be confident in fighting in his backyard this time, and it's a good fight for sure. It's obvious. It's obviously a prize fight that they've chosen. Ruiz isn't really number one ranked in any of the organizations, but He is a big name, like I just finished saying, that he's probably number one in America at the moment. Because Deontay Wilder said, he doesn't know if he'll return. Obviously, if Wilder returns, he's number one. But actively right now, Ruiz is, so he's got to do it. He's got to debut in the US. He's got to fight in the US. He's got to, especially while he can. And while there's still big names out there, I wouldn't say that Ruiz is, the best out there, but he does have a name. After beating Joshua, instantly he got fame, money, fortune, and he got a name. And that's all it takes, one fight. You go back to, like I said before, when Buster Douglas beat Tyson, and then all of a sudden you got the $23 million. All it takes is one fight to set you up for mega fights. And if Joseph Parker beats Ruiz in his backyard, this is definitely going to build up his profile. Now, obviously, he is known in the UK now because, he's been fighting there for a while. He's beaten Chisora in a great fashion, and Chisora is very well respected and, always sells out pay-per-views and all that. And he's beaten him, and he's fought White, he's lost to White, so he's been fighting a lot in the UK. But if you look at like Dillian Whytes and Chisora and all these UK fighters, even Tyson Fury himself, if it wasn't for Wilder fighting him, hardly anyone would have came to see him, and even when after the first fight when Fury fought in America, he only had 7,000 or something. I can't recall the number, but it wasn't a high number of people that came to watch him fights. That's what I'm saying, and I believe now people will watch him, but you got to build a reputation, and you've got to debut in America. That's where the mecca of boxing is. Like I said, Frazier, Ali. And if Parker's a guy that follows David Tour's steps, David Tour fought Lennox Lewis, which was the biggest fight from New Zealand. I wouldn't say in New Zealand, but from New Zealand. New Zealander David Tour. That was the greatest moment for New Zealand for sure, when he fought Lennox. And Joseph Parker holds the best fight in New Zealand, which was when he fought Ruiz, because he became the champion of the world, and there hasn't been a New Zealand heavyweight champion in the world, so he made history, so that's obviously greatness for New Zealand. Even though it was a vacated title, it was still a big moment, and it was still in the books. Now, David Tour was something else. He was the number one New Zealander for boxing for sure. And I think that Parker definitely needs to, look at Tour's path and try to, fight in the US and, build up a name. You know what I mean? Because I can guarantee you that everyone around the world knows who David Tour is. That's for sure. There was a fantasy fight that people talked about, Tour versus Tyson, and they still talk about it today. That fight would have been explosive. It would have been, one to watch for sure. And so that's what I'm saying. This is a good move for Parker. I believe he should go ahead with it. I don't see why Ruiz wouldn't fight him. Obviously, Ruiz will want to get, revenge. He believes that he won, and I think it's going to go ahead. But we'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in once again, man. Thanks for hearing me out, and most of all, man, I appreciate your time. Leave a comment, man. Leave your take. Peace. God bless.